Oh, oh God. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gamester here. This is the Heroic Quick Raid Guide for Immerseus. As always, you can check out the full raid guide in the annotation there, or any of the role-specific guides at the top of the screen. So the first addition to Heroic on this fight is Swelling Corruption. This is a buff gained by Immerseus. If you look on the target frame to the right there, the red outline shows the buff on him. This is gained about 13 seconds into every normal phase, and it will have a number of stacks equal to half of the corruption or energy that Immerseus has at the time. So for the very first phase, when you engage him, you will have 50 stacks, or half his energy. Now, every time a player does single target damage to the boss, a stack will be removed from Swelling Corruption, and this stack is transferred to the player in the form of a stacking dot called Sha Corruption. The damage from Sha Corruption goes up extremely fast. Here you can see a rough chart of the approximate damage you'll see every second based on the stacks that you have. So for overall methods, the best thing to do to handle this is to set a limit on the number of stacks that a raid member should get to. Once they reach that limit, they stop DPS on the boss and allow the 6-second duration to fall off, or they can have it dispelled through Magic Dispel. So healers can dispel this, or players with personal dispels can also get rid of this. Now, in addition to the stacking dot, when you remove a stack of Swelling Corruption from the boss, it also spawns an ad called Congealed Sha. These ads will spawn within melee range around the boss, so this will mean that your tanks need to be in a position and available to essentially pick these up and tank these. These have normal threat, and they don't really do anything special other than just create something that must be dealt with because there's so many of them, and the damage will be pretty high if you're not careful. But you can stun them and CC them and all that normal stuff. So you'll get one Congealed Sha ad for every stack of Swelling Corruption that you remove. So again, the first round, after 50 stacks, you'll get 50 ads in total. Quite a few of them. So to handle the Congealed Sha, we found it best to position the raid somewhat close together. So for us, we sort of stacked up in a straight line in front of the boss where you enter the room, with our range spreading back from that position. Our melee would be out to the right, and our tanks would be to the left. This would allow our tank that's currently on the boss, that's about to get the Corrosive Blast attack, always to be one quadrant over from the raid, so that no one else would get hit by that. Now, once that blast goes off, and around the time the Swirl is being cast, the tank can move over in front of the raid in the same quadrant that the raid is at, and help gather up and kill all the ads. Because at a minimum, the next Corrosive Blast will not be for about 25 seconds, and usually it's closer to 30 or 35 for the cooldown. So effectively, both your tanks can help you kill those ads by gathering them up. Again, they spawn in melee, and then staying near the quadrant that the raid is close to. If you're spread out too much on this fight, gathering and killing these ads will be very difficult. So we found it was better to stay close together. The second big addition for this fight is Sha Pool, and this actually occurs during the submerge phase of the fight. When the boss submerges, just like normal, you'll have a series of these puddles that will move to the center of the room. However, the center of the platform in the pool is overtaken by the Sha Pool, and this is a corrupted pool that will grow in size pretty rapidly. The important part here is that the edge of the Sha Pool is actually the edge that dictates when the puddle oozes will explode and be absorbed. So what this means is you have, the larger the pool gets, the less time you have to deal with these puddles that are going toward the center, because the edge will be expanding. The basic way to deal with this is to have a tank stand in the pool, right on the edge of the normal part of the platform, and this will force the pool to get smaller. So here you can see the pool in the center there. It's kind of covering the water. And we have a tank that's just standing on the edge of that, kind of absorbing it. Now this will cause stacking dot on the tank, so you need to be aware of that. But for the most part, they can just stay there, keep the pool pretty tiny, and then you proceed with the rest of the phase just like you normally would. The final thing to mention is Swirl. And while this is in the normal version as well, on Heroic, because we are so close together and positioned in such a way that we have to be near one another due to the ad spawns, we found that Swirl would often be in a position we just couldn't avoid. But it turns out this is okay. Swirl by itself will usually not kill you unless you're trying to move with it. But if you actually run through it, so it always goes clockwise, if you run counterclockwise through the Swirl, it should only hit you one time at most. And especially if you use a personal cooldown, you can easily survive the damage. So if the Swirl was spawning on us or in a location that it would pass through us, we would simply call out and mumble or vent, and everyone in the raid would run through it using a personal cooldown if they had one available. Another thing you can do is if you're at the entrance to the room like we were in that normal phase, you can actually step into the hallway slightly and outrange the knockback of the Swirl, and it won't hit you. So that's just another possibility if that's your relative position. So, believe it or not, that's everything really for the quick raid guide. As usual, feel free to check out the full raid guide if you want a lot more detail about what's going on here. And you can also check out the role-specific guides if you just want tank or heal tips, that kind of thing. So, that is Heroic Immerseus' quick raid guide. As always, good luck, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe.